Hello there! Ever since I started making these videos at the end of 2014, I feel like they have really impacted my year in a positive way. A lot of times at the end of the year, people feel discouraged or motivated, but they don't quite know what to do. At the end of 2016, many people are feeling sad and frustrated and confused. I think it's important to sit down, reflect on everything that you did throughout the year. A year is a long time, even though it does not feel like it at all. So whether you like to blog or journal, my platform has always been making videos. Personally, I had a very decent year, but in terms of the world, not so much. I really encourage you to sit down and think about your year. This is my third time making a video like this, and wow, 2016 has been so many different things. The first half of 2016 brought the last part of my high school career, and it also brought a very confusing and conflicting college decision process. At the beginning of this year, I flew out to Boston. I got to hang out with Sasha at Emerson. Boston is so beautiful, and I went back in March. I absolutely loved doing college tours. Even if I knew, like, in my heart that I wasn't going to the college, I loved learning about them and being on campus. Being a student is a different thing, and deciding on a college was very difficult, and we'll get to that soon. In the last semester, I hosted my high school talent show with my friend Maddie, which was so much fun. Wrapped up the year as co-editor-in-chief with my friend Gabby of our yearbook. Said goodbye to all of the clubs and organizations and staff members. In 2016, I performed in my last high school production. It was called Radium Girls. Theater was one of the best parts of high school. Over spring break, I went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I went there to visit my cousin for a couple days. It was a nice road trip. I went to senior prom with my friend Shayna, who I also went to 8th grade formal with. Do you see this side by side? On my very last day of high school, I walked out the door and got in the car and headed up to Chicago for BEA. BEA was a blast this year. Usually I don't get to spend that much time with everyone, but this year it was more like in my home base, so I didn't have to fly in and I could be there for a longer amount of time. Got to spend time with other booktubers and friends and meet so many awesome people there, and I had the opportunity to work with some publishers and do author interviews, which I always really enjoy doing. I got to interview Ransom Riggs for the second time, and he was the first author I ever interviewed back in 2014 when I was 15 and awkward, and he totally remembered. And I also got to sit down and talk to Saba Tahir, as well as David Arnold. This year I also met Jodi Picoult again, who wrote my favorite book of the year, Small Great Things. I also met Mary Pope Osborne, author of Magic Treehouse, my favorite childhood series. That moment right there when I got to tell Mary Pope Osborne like what she did to my childhood, and her husband was there too, and it was just really sweet. Graduating high school felt great. I was chosen through an audition process to speak at graduation. It was the biggest group of people I've ever spoken in front of. I'm so glad I had the opportunity and that experience to represent the organizations and groups that I was part of in high school. I got to do a lot of traveling in 2016. I went on a ski trip with my parents and some friends. Abby and I spent a week in Tampa, and then we also went to Disney. It was one of the best weeks of summer. In July, I went on a trip with my parents to Washington State. It was absolutely beautiful to visit Seattle. I went to the first ever Starbucks. I also got to visit the Amazon bookstore. We went up in the mountains. It was such a beautiful 10 days. I went and visited family in Atlanta, Georgia, and I got to spend a week there relaxing and visiting. It was Hotlanta in August, but it was really nice to spend time with everyone before I headed off to college. In September, I got to fly back out to Boston, and I got to do some author interviews at the Boston Teen Author Fest. I got to do a video with Beth Revis on my channel, and I also got to sit down and talk to Eric Smith, and I got to moderate a panel with some of the coolest authors I've ever been in a room with. Maddie and I went to Indianapolis this year. We got to see Anthony Rapp and Adam Pascal, the original Mark and Roger from Rent, do a cabaret-style show. It was life-changing. It was like the day before I was moving into college, so I was so stressed out, but it was so fun. This was a year of many concerts. Got to see X-Ambassadors and Muse with my friends Maddie and Sierra. I saw Troye Sivan at the House of Blues, and then later at the Argonne Ballroom in Chicago. Abby and I went to see Ellie Goulding, whose album we became obsessed with after the concert. Beyonce at Soldier Field. While we were in Tampa, we saw Panic at the Disco, and they performed with Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, as well as Weezer. We got to see Sia at the United Center, and I can't forget the 1975, who put on such an amazing show at the Argonne Ballroom. It was a very good year of concerts. This summer I turned 18. It is legal now for me to grow this beard. This year I had my wisdom teeth taken out, which I'm only mentioning so I can show you this ridiculous clip that no one's ever seen, except for everyone I've ever shown it to, which is a lot of people. This year I wrote and directed and acted in and edited another short film. I can't believe it happened for a third year in a row. My short film this year was called Leaving You Ahead. There were so many people involved in it compared to the previous ones. So many local locations who were generous enough to let us shoot there. So many talented actors in my community. Friends who helped me shoot it, who I go to school with, and I'm so lucky to know we made it happen. We shot this one in 4 consecutive days, just in time to move into college. Oh, college. I mean, that should probably feel like the biggest thing that's happened this year. I've always lived near Chicago, but this year I moved downtown for school. That's one thing that, like, at the beginning of 2016, I had no clue where I'd be living right now. I love Chicago so much. It's been an odd several months of college, but at the end of the day, I've met some fantastic people. I loved all of my teachers and have learned so much from all of them. It feels good to kind of take this time and just be a student and still be working on things, but sort of focus on what happens next, maybe. I've spent a lot of time alone, spent a lot of time exploring, I've spent a lot of time with new friends. It feels good to sort of know the city a lot better now. I've gotten to work on some film sets inside and outside of my school. I've been able to collaborate with my classmates, both in my film classes and my theater class. It hasn't been smooth all the way, but again, when you sit down and look back and think about everything you've done, there's always something to be said for it. This past semester, I got the chance to participate in a 24-hour play festival, probably the best experience of college so far. It was a wild day and a wild night. I'm so glad that I got to spend a lot of time with my family this year, even though I moved away. I became closer with a lot of really great friends in my life. Something else that happened this year that was surprising in such a great way. I've played piano since I was 4 and guitar since I was 8, but once I got to high school it was more of like the film and video stuff that I started to pursue, but this year I kind of went back to it and I performed a lot with my friend Maddie. We got to play at some festivals and a wine bar in different locations around town, and I totally want to keep going and doing more with music this year. I wonder if you guys would be interested in me doing more music stuff on this channel. I don't know, let me know. I got to see some really great shows on stage this year, Kinky Boots and Fun Home in Chicago. This year I became obsessed with and then got to see Hamilton in Chicago. My friend Gabby, who is a booktuber, invited me to go with her on her birthday. It was so fantastic, obviously, but it was so much fun. Gabby, I can't thank you enough. This year I had to quit my job at the bookstore. I worked at Barnes & Noble for 2 years. 2 years selling books and making drinks and taking people's money. It was just so weird to think about because literally since I could read, I've been going in there, I've been friends with the manager, we've talked about how I was gonna work there. I mean, the build-up lasted like 5 times longer than my career did, which we knew. But still, the fact that that era is over, I mean, it really kind of, I mean, of all the things this year, graduating high school, whatever, leaving the bookstore was like a big, oh my god. I still have every single name tag they ever gave to me because they changed by like the season. I was also invited to speak on a panel for Acorn Equality Fund. They've been generous enough to give me a scholarship the past 2 years and invited me to speak about what it means to be a recipient of their award. Joanne came out this year. I was a sophomore in high school when Art Pop came out. It's been a long time coming, and honestly it came at like exactly the right time. It really did. I also got to do a lot of videography this year. I filmed my first wedding, which was terrifying beforehand, but I had so much fun all day with them. I was able to continue and improve things that I've really enjoyed doing, like photography. Got to do so much more with music this year, and I got to do theater and make films. Politically, this year was devastating, and the years ahead of us, who knows what will happen. Went back to Chicago Pride this year. Last year at Chicago Pride we were celebrating marriage equality. This year we were mourning the shooting in Orlando. So it was definitely different this year. Pride is always about celebration and not backing down. 2016 was tough, and it was also amazing, and there's a lot of things that I'm gonna be leaving behind in 2016. I mean, my high school career, small town life, my old job, old friends. I mean, so much ended and so much began in 2016. 2017 feels like a complete blank canvas. There's a lot to come, but so far I'm really looking forward to the future. I know it's gonna be tough, and I know that I have a lot to learn, and I know that we have a lot to overcome, but it's time. Keep creating and start your new project and go for it this year. That is both my advice and my plan for this year. I'm so grateful for all of the opportunities that I have had. I'm so lucky to have all of you in my life. A lot of hard things have happened personally, and in the world, but of course it's still important to sit down, reflect on your year, and be proud of yourself. 2017 is going to be full of a lot of hard work. As you're watching this video, I'm already back at school. I'm doing a winter break class, and I was just cast in my first college play, and then I cannot wait to jump into second semester. This summer I have plans to go to BEA, and I also have plans to move to New York for basically the whole summer. And beyond that, I mean, who knows what will happen in 2017. So much momentum has built up. At some point, it is time to leap. Take this year as an opportunity to get shit done. 2016, it has been a full year. 2017 is here, and it's happening right now. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good one. Here we go.